Okay, cool. So look at this tower. And I only learned of this like I don't know, like 8 years ago or something.
Wow.
So this is George Seurat's Eiffel Tower, and I think it's even unfinished. So I think he was
Oh,
painting at the like there are sketches of it when it was like halfway up, and I think this might be it. So this was like Paris at this time. There's all kind of so much excitement that was going on. Like Haussmann was tearing down slums to create these big boulevards, and yeah, there was a part of what these kind of like middle class gentlemen would do. It's like where the term flaneur came from. So they just be like living in Paris, and they would go for long walks just to see all the changes that were happening. They instituted like this crazy sewage system, everything under, subterranean world. It was just awesome. Anyway, like I just love I love that it was painted orange, in the original plans. And then architecturally, when Lehigh University, where I went to architecture school, they have like one of three, sets of the blueprints for the Eiffel Tower. So in theory, we have the plans. We could build one here, which I think someone should do. I mean, I really think it would be worth it. Not that we need to we need to make Baltimore Paris, but I mean, it certainly is better than what's in front of the train station now. All right, so this is interesting. So this is this tower, and then there's a sidebar note. So this is Seurat, and then this is Claude Lorraine, which is a totally different. It's like a completely different thing, but I wanted to show you anyway because I think it's so cool. This little makeshift architecture is a firework display. It's an elaborate firework display from, oh God, I don't even know what year. So all these prints are in the National Library in Paris, and I've actually been to that library. They have a carnivorous forest in their courtyard. It's a really amazing building where these prints are. So this is the presentation of a statue, and so watch the states of. This is one plate that he continually works on, and when you're making printmaking, you can the plate can go through various states. You just keep working it and reworking it and making new prints. So these are two versions of the same print, and then look at this thing. It gets lit up. So they light the fireworks inside this wooden structure that looks like a building, and then it starts to go. So it's interesting because they have like a state of the print that had like heavy ink, and then the one that's like immediately next to it. This is the same. Oh no, yeah, this is the same print. It's just got less. It just must have less ink. It's just not as dark. And then finally the grand. This isn't even the grand finale. This is like the first finale. So the architecture peels to the side, and then there's this internal cylindrical rampart. It looks so dramatic. And then it keeps shooting. By the way, these figures on here represent like the four continents. So there's America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. Those were each one of these towers have like allegorical figures. And then now it really does blow. So the internal column breaks apart, and there's this bronze sculpture, an equestrian rider. I guess it's a statue of the King of the Romans, it said. there's the next state.
Wow.
And it looks just like a fountain.
Yeah.
And I guess all the bronze can like handle all the heat, you know, if they're bronze sculptures. I assume these are wooden. This is a stone base. I mean, if it's stone and bronze and everything else was, wood. And then there's the final sculpture.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Equestrian statue of King of the Romans. I just thought it was so fun to like, how are you going to represent, like a dramatic event like that, without film, without photography. So it was just this entire, every state of this event. I thought that was fun. Okay, so that being said, this is the best. I mean, because when you look at the print, and when I first saw it, I was like, that's a weird building. It's not that beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, to make it and then to see the dramatic lighting, and there has to have been a whole process of how to, engineer this whole thing.
If you didn't tell us those were fireworks, I don't think I would have known those were fireworks.
Yeah, it took me a little while to wrap my head around it. I mean, it's like something I've never seen before anywhere. Look at it on the inside. That would have been great to see. This would be cool to redo. I mean, we do fireworks every year. It's just a whole different way of like conceiving of them. Yeah, and like you'd have to, like, if somebody that wasn't there, like, how would you describe that? Like, it's like you wouldn't believe what they just did. Okay, so those were like the stages of that plate, and so here's the Seurat, and it's interesting too because just the process of Claude Lorraine thinking about the same subject and the various stages of that subject and like the evolution of it is a very, it's a really important, it's very important to be able to do. So this is one of Seurat's sketches, and if you guys have toned paper, I was thinking we'll talk about it. I don't know exactly what the lesson's going to be, but this one standing figure, I'm going to show you like a bunch of different states of it, and it's going to be, it's all, so you have to understand that Seurat was attempting to make a masterpiece. He's in his like mid-20s, and he's trying to, he's trying to follow in the steps of, Ingres and Seurat and, Raphael, these kind of like the Eve, almost like an Eve figure, but he's kind of a secular guy. Anyway, so this is one of the color studies, which is really nice. There's a Seurat was really big on halos, so he would have dark halos and light halos, and like this figure goes through as many wide-ranging states that you can imagine, and we can kind of pick one, or we'll see. So this is the color study, small, 6 by 10, so it's like on a regular size sheet of paper. Here's the other study. There's that. So this is for as much of a colorist as Seurat was, he was also kind of like an ethereal tonal master. So he creates this halo along this side with the cast shadow. So the light's coming from the left. So even, I mean, this leg, believe it or not, is a dark up against the light here. And then do you see the various transitions of the halos on this side? So there's like a light halo here, then it like transitions slightly, and now it's a dark halo on that side.
Yeah.
It's a cast shadow, but it's also a control that he uses to get figure to ground relationship. There is line work. I mean, there is like with this one, it'd be interesting to come back in, and he actually does paint some lines. There's like this orange, like orange note here in the arm is part of the arm, where this orange note on the shoulder is actually part of the background. So he's using the paint application to be either part of the object or part of the background. And then look at this totally ambiguous area down here. I mean, where is that edge? You're not known. So his balance of like tone separation versus line separation versus tonal ambiguity and color ambiguity. I mean, there's blue notes that overlap it, and there's blue notes that come outside of it. I picked this subject not because of the subject matter. I mean, it's a very static standing nude, but he just took this because this is one of the later paintings, so he put it through many different states. So, and this model was kind of famous. Like I'll show you the painting. The painting is, I think, in the Barnes collection, actually. I'm 99% sure it's in the Barnes. So this is a much, much larger piece, but and this is what's kind of interesting about what we would do with our color pencils. Let me see. This painting is, that's not possible. I don't think that can be possible. It says that it's 9 by 6.
This one that you're showing is easier to look at. That other one looks like she's got a noose around her neck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. With the drawing.
No, not that one. The black and white. Right. Black and white one that you were flipping back and forth to.
It does. Yeah. She has like a collar.
I guess, in the Victorian era, they had those little sort of choker things they wore.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that's what it was, but it is. It's unsettling.
I just can't imagine that this painting is 9 by 6. Look at the size of the brush strokes. And then this one, I think it's a typo. I really think it's a typo. I'll get to that. I'll figure that one out here in a second. I mean, this is way nicer. And honestly, this is like a way nicer pose. So she's in contrapposto. She's got her weight, on the stand leg, and then she's kicking this leg, out. So this leg is back and flexed. This leg is forward and softer, receiving the light, where, she's like perfectly symmetrical. It's just not a dynamic pose.
I mean, and her face looks like a man.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's so creepy.
It's so creepy. It's so creepy. And she actually looks young. Like this, This looks like a woman. And then
this looks like one of my school teachers.
Okay, so that's good. I mean, the interesting thing about it is that he's exploring the subject, and he's trying to get to the answer. It's progressing and getting better. I hope. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is there, and then this one is kind of a famous one. Did they give us the drawing? They didn't give us the drawing. Let's just stay focused. Okay, so this is the next one. This one I would totally consider doing. This is 6 by 8 inches. So this is the size of our paper. Seurat was kind of famous for having these, I wouldn't call them tester strips, but he framed out the painting literally with painting a frame in the composition. So this is our girl again, on a much smaller scale, but she has accompaniment with these two other figures. So that's why these are this is again like a larger color study, as is this might actually be a man. I don't think it is, but it's a little ambiguous. Look at this. Look at this teeny study down here. I wonder where that's from. Oh no, excuse me. This is an infrared. So I don't know what they're looking for. They're basically looking for underpainting or drawing. It's kind of cool. We can revisit that if we could come back to these studies if we did try to attempt this larger composition. I love this background. So this is these are models in the studio. So if you guys know Luncheon of the Grand Jatte, there's like a woman with the big bodice, and she's standing with a guy with a parasol, and there's like a monkey on the ground, and there's it's in the book. Like Seurat's famous painting, I think it's in Chicago. This is such a good book. You guys remember this painting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's in. You might remember it from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I love that show.
Well, they go to the museum at the end.
Yeah.
So we could talk about this painting. There's so much to digest in this painting, but there's this little woman and there's this little girl in the white dress who's like she's actually facing the viewer. She's in highest contrast, the lightest light. And then there's all these fun interactions going on between characters and symbolism going on. Anyway, so notice this figure here. So she's, this guy is walking with her. She's got her parasol. She's got this large dress, and there's this little monkey and a little puppy dog down here. And there's this like patch. And then these two famous characters, these two ladies that are sitting, their bases are like light against, in their bottom, they're all in shadow. So they are still in the shadow, but then being backlit by the light on that lawn. So all these characters in the foreground are all in the shadow, where all of these characters here are in direct sunlight with these. So the picture is kind of divided into two parts. To go back to our picture, Seurat is painting these models in his studio, and the painting that we just looked at is in the studio. So this is the standing figure here. That's her dress. That's her, the corner of the parasol there. And then so he's almost like, pixelating his pixelated painting. So she's showing models in the studio, kind of in the fashion of Courbet. Courbet did that. He did the exhibition of, I think it was like the deplorables, the guys that got kicked out of the French Academy. That's in the Musée d'Orsay now, and he's doing it's a self-portrait. He's doing a landscape, and he's surrounded by Baudelaire and all his buddies, kind of like pulling the veil back into like the artist studio world. And that's kind of what Seurat is doing here. In a shout out to all of these people, basically a shout out to Courbet, which is lovely. Let's see. So here's a more detailed version. So that was the sketch. And so as he's developing, the idea of the studio picture, lift this up here. So he's got his painting, the Luncheon of the Grand Jatte. He's got our girl that we looked at in the very beginning in contrapposto. He actually details the hands. He really does everything to avoid the hands. Our character here is much more feminine, clearly a woman, dressing. And then this painting, who knows? I don't understand how this could possibly be true, but this is apparently 15 by 19, it says. Oh, man, these are just miniatures. I mean, this is not, I mean, this painting is not that much bigger than what's here. But they lend themselves really nicely to color pencils. You know, so like pointillism is fun. And you sketch it out with blue, and then you just keep, you know, seeing like one blotch of color interacting with another blotch of color. Okay, so here's the her clothes. You know, it looks like her dress with a, you know, a hat and her parasol. And there's the value study. So for someone that is so intensely oriented with colors, so when you have a painting like this or a drawing like this, there's zero color, so it's all values, so it's all lights and darks, and he's composing, you know, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, you know, just composing with just values, and that so that he's informed enough to then come and you know, paint with, you know, with these color intensities. So as the paintings get bigger, you need to have more objects, you need to have more details. So you know, there's the jug on the table, and there's, I think, these clothes down here. Let's see if we can figure that out. I think he did one more value sketch. So there's the stove, and there's the pot on the stove, and that looks like a bathtub to me, but maybe not. Does that look like a bathtub?
Yeah, sort of.
All right, so these look like some folded clothes, and that wrought iron stove is fantastic. Look at that. Oh my. I mean, the drawing is so well done. And then look what, it almost gets completely lost in this picture.
Oh, is that the stove again?
I think so.
Oh, so then the white is not a bathtub, it's her stool. Maybe.
Ooh, maybe. Yeah, look at that. You're right, Grace. So here we go. We go back. So she's actually sitting on this. And then that's the parasol, and that's her folded clothes. So this picture here, this zone is a continuation, is continued with this drawing. So there's the white again, and then folded clothes with the parasol and the hat that gives us the whole left side of the picture, and that cushion. Neat. So cool. I wonder what, now that we've discovered that, I just want to look back here at this little study. Look at it, look at how the stool has legs, actually has legs here. And it's hard to see what that is. There's no stove. Maybe he felt like he needed to occupy, you know, so he obviously needed something in this side. Look at these very faint suggestions of the pictures on the wall. You would never notice them. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have. And there's the pictures on the wall there with the little hanging satchel. I wonder what that is, actually. It might just be her bag. All right, so this is what would be, I believe it's just a transfer drawing. So when you have the drawing going, you have the drawing and you just need to get it onto the canvas. You draw in a different way. So either or he could have used the camera lucida and traced, you know, the model. I wonder how big this is. This is also 10 inches by 6 inches. And here's our, you know, the cropped hat and parasol with the clothes on that corner. Ooh, this is the arm of the other sitter, the other model in the studio. Ooh, and that's the back end. There's her little tush. Oh, interesting. So this is a cropped version. I wonder if it was cropped or if it was, yeah, it worked. I mean, it really does work nicely as a design.
What's this piece called, Trevor?
I think it's called the models.
Okay.
The finished piece that it's called models.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this one is called models small sketch. And this is just called still life with hat and umbrella and clothes on a chair. But it was all, it's all designed to be components to this larger piece. Anyway, so like that's it for these, and this book is brilliant in that it does give you some interesting stages. So this was the look how neat that is. So it's like boom, boom. The various states. Yeah, this painting is like unbelievable. And you can see the Ang reference down here. Ang, of course, spelled Ingress, I-N-G-R-E-S, but those I can't like the pointillism is just so good. So yeah, I that one was the one that had the various had like a super wide range of the same subject done in many different styles. This is Seurat trying to be Lautrec. How about that for golden section? Goodness gracious. Okay, so this is and this is where we would go in our sketch, whichever one we choose. This is how it would be done, and I didn't even know that this was in here. So this is how Seurat begins pointillism. All these paintings begin with he uses blue. The blue is it's a dark value, so it's almost like drawing with pencils. It's a dark value, but not as not the darkest, and it kind of is it's harmonious with all the other colors that you can lay on top. So he basically sketches with a blue pencil, and we would draw it out with the blue pencil, and then he builds up layers of various color. So he still starts with a drawing, and he uses this blue pencil. And a lot of people, that's how they begin their paintings, in the same way. So this is not washed out up here. I kept thinking that the way the light was reflecting that it was washed out. It's just not painted. It's painted lightly too.
Is this what we're sketching today?
No.
Oh.
No, not necessarily. I just want when we do settle on one.
Did you send us anything this morning?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like, I didn't quite know. I didn't know if you wanted to do the Eiffel Tower. I just wanted to show.
I've seen her in London. She's at the Courtauld Gallery. I love that one.
I've never seen this in person.
Oh,
so,
it's It's so cool.
So I'm going to London in like a month.
You absolutely have to go to the Courtauld Gallery. It's my favorite one in London because
how do you spell it?
It's small.
Courdalt?
Court, yeah. Auld or something like that. It's right on the Seine. Trying to think of the name of the area. You will love it.
Oh, dude, I'm totally going. Wait, it probably says it right here.
Does it say?
So that's so cool that you. It says, yeah, the Courtauld, Courtauld.
Yeah. The gallery.
Courtauld
Yeah.
Institute Galleries.
Oh, London. Yeah, it's located in the Somerset House. It's every time we used to spend a month in London every spring because Jim has an office there, and every time anybody would come to visit, I would take them there.
You take them there?
Yeah.
Yes, that's such good intel. Let me see where this one is. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show is the sketch for it, and that one is in Houston at the what is it? The Houston Art Museum, Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. All right, so here's her, who I will be introduced to this year. Very excited. Very excited. So, oh my gosh, because this one I've always struggled with this one. Not because I identify with struggling with weight problems, but because I didn't know what was going on up here. Is that like a painting? Is that like a painting that can open up? Or is it?
It doesn't look like a window.
Yeah, I think you ever seen, it's almost like a locket, that opens up. Is that what that painting is?
Or is it a mirror reflecting something?
Like in her imagination? Look at this little table she's getting ready on. There's a mirror and some perfume.
I think, wasn't this his mistress?
I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm cheating because I can see the other picture, but you can't see it. So her bodice, and then
she was his mistress.
Naughty. Well, we're not going to spend too much time with this one. There's the bracelet, and then the bodice comes down further here. Okay, let's just do it. I'm just gonna show it. And then he put flowers down here, which is really neat. And there's this very very interesting background. Look at all the halos. Like he just takes all this light to dark, dark to light to dark to light.
It looks very powder puffy. Like powder is.
Well, that's what she's doing.
I know.
And let's see this guy. So here's the study for it. Hopefully the light can move her over. Block that off. Okay. I wish we could look at them at the same time. Do I dare? I'm gonna do it. For art's sake. For art's sake. I folded my book. Look at those two paintings. Yeah, so from what I can tell, it looks like one thing led to another. She's the subject here in the study, and I don't know if it was the size of the rectangle that needed to change, because or he wanted to fully realize the table. This is a huge part of the subject. The way that he's managing that the the table and the details, you know, the almost the architectural details of the table and her little makeup stand. And then by extending this rectangle out, I mean, this corner over here gets extended, like the table leg is exposed in the back end, and then he needs enough room because this is already a gutter. I mean, this is already very close to the edge of the rectangle. And look at all these empty spaces that he's got going on in there. So he has to do something. And then because he moved this corner over, look at all of this area that he's got, this new area. So then he puts a completely, you know, he's just trying, I mean, he's trying to solve all these problems. And I don't know if he did it. I mean, I guess he did do it. I mean, he did it, but those are huge design decisions, moving from, this, featuring her, and the subject is all about her. You know, can you see that? Like, the highest intensity with her bodice and her hair and her face and the relationship, her face is central to the whole design. Watch what happens when I go like this. I mean, that's the very center of the picture. Her face is at the center, her bracelet, her bust, everything. And then, it's clear what she's doing, but this is not the subject. And then it's like he got so seduced by, everything that was happening in the still life, that and her face is so resolved and so done. I don't think it necessarily takes away from it. I don't think it takes away from her at all. It's just, they're just two very different paintings with very different purposes. And I'm curious as to the scale difference. So this is 214.
It's a good size painting.
Right. So this one is 10 by 16. And then 213 is, so it's 40 inches by 30 inches. So yeah, they are, I mean, that's a big painting for Seurat. 30 by 40. I got to keep this in my phone so I can study it when I go there. I guess we can just look it up, but this is a good book. Well, that was fun. I mean, I would be up for sketching her. That might be, I mean,
that'd be fun.
Do we dare?
I'm scared to death, but I think it would be fun.
I think we should. Let's do it, because I think she's she follows, this study, follow, it's appropriate to our scale. It's appropriate to like the mark making that is comfortable with color pencils. Yeah. And his drawing is fine. His drawing's not like, it's not that hard. And on top of it all, I think, as far as Mitchell, as far as our Zoom class goes, I think it could work. It could work nicely with. It's a nice size for Zoom. It's not. What I mean is, it's not too big and it's not too small. Well, there's my Claude Lorraine. Oh no, that's my Cezanne. Too thick. That's straight. That goes like that.
So what color background would you use?
I think white. I think that's partially why I'm also excited about it. Because if you have white paper, I mean, maybe an off-white, but I don't think so. That goes like that. I have colored pencil paper at the studio too. It's so annoying that I don't have it here. Okay, this is the off-white. And I think I might do the off-white just so I can have, do I have any gray? I'm just gonna pull out some colors that I have. So this is more of a yellow tone. And that might be nice because that's like what her skin tone is, you know, some of the warms. And then this is the stark white. And then it just depends on what I want to add. I think I might try to let the I think the yellow might be kind of nice. Yeah, the yellowish warm cream tone. Hey, by the way, just let me just check. Okay, Stacy's definitely a little bit late. She hasn't missed much though. And what we'll do is we'll just sketch out her basic elements. There's really not a whole lot. I mean, it's and then we'll zoom in and we'll dissect the whole thing, and it'll be such a different way of sketching for us. Oh man, I have to send it to you though.
Just pulled it up online.
Is there a high res? Was it the study or was it the actual?
Well, I just the.
Oh man. Oh God.
In fact, if you go into the Courtauld gallery, they go into a whole thing about that little window up in the corner.
Oh. So it is a window, not a mirror.
Well, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but everybody's confused by it.
Including me.
They don't know if it's a window or a little box that opens up. They talk about the thickness of the bottom of it. It could be reflection from a mirror.
I kind of think it's the mirror, yeah.
Yeah. A mirror makes sense because she's so fluffy or something. She seems like a girly girl.
She's so vain. You can see herself in the mirror. She's so vain.
I don't know. I'm just glad we don't wear those corsets anymore.
Oh,
I think women went for years without breathing.
Did you say off-white or yellowish?
I'm going yellow.
Yeah, I only have white, so that's what I'm using.
Okay, so here we go, ladies. I'm going to send this over to you.
Send it.
Edit. Rotate. Yeah, that looks good. Let me make sure I'm seeing it right. Yeah, great. Boom, boom, boom.
And would you use the textured side of the paper or the smooth side?
I would use the smooth side. But that's just me. Okay, so Maureen, you want this emailed, right? And we'll see how far. I did not spell that right, but that's okay. All right. And Grace. Grace, do you care if I email it or text it?
Whatever's easier for you.
Yeah, we can handle a little pointless portrait. Give me a break. Look at that. Oh, lovely, really lovely. Yeah, and I love. So it's interesting here. If you know the original, these strings, he keeps the corset very separate. So he links up the table and her hair. You know, those are the like a kind of color combination allies. And then so that represents kind of like the red orange, and then there's the blue, and then there's the key of the gold, which is the yellow, and then you have like I would say the yellow orange of the dress. So I guess he's trying to key it in blue. We'll try to figure out what these colors are. And this blue feels more like a cerulean blue than the other one, which is like more of a cerulean blue, kind of more of a blue green. It leans towards turquoise. Whereas the blue in the actual the finished painting, it feels more like a navy, like phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, you know, blues that lean towards purple.
Did you send it?
I emailed it to you.
Okay. I
You
didn't
like
get
it. You like it emailed. I will text it to you as well. Sometimes the email does obnoxiously
Okay.
takes a minute.
All right. I got it. Just popped in.
Good. And you got it too, right, Stace? Or Adele and Grace?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Mute myself for 1 minute. Cool. This is great. All right. I'm not scared at all about how to begin this. Ooh, Grace, should I do it? Let's do it. Let's do an analysis so I can figure out what the hell is going on.
Yes.
All right. So one thing I know for sure is that her head is going to be an egg shape. And we're going to very, very, very loosely place, you know, we're going to draw like that mask almost of her face, eyes, nose, mouth, very, very basic. Now, the thing I'm questioning most at the moment is whether we should, I think we need to draw her torso more of a, more like a prism, and less than like, you know, voluptuous breasts. And I'll show you what I mean. I think it's going to be, the prism's going to serve us much better, and then we can tweak that as we go. And then there's a very narrow waist, and then she's sitting on this like cushion of her dress. So there's no anatomy in there, all very simple shapes. And her arms are also very simple forms, like as basic as they can, you know, almost basic as they can be. We don't have to worry about any details of the face. We don't have to worry about any details of the fingers. It really is a color study, and she's almost an inanimate object in terms of how simple her forms are. But I'll give you the goods, and you know, we'll quiet them all down. Can't find my scissors, so bring this out the old-fashioned way. All right, party people. So back in the day when I would analyze this, you guys would kind of just like sketch right along with me, and then I would catch up. So I think that's not it's not a bad way if you wanted to just, you know, sketch the analysis as we go. It'll pick things up a little bit. All right, so is the line that you don't want to start with, by the way. But it's a line that it's really important for us to know about. And it is the middle of the entire picture. And the middle of the whole picture gets us a lot of information. So if you looked at the earlier, when he was doing that larger composition of the circus, he does grid out the rectangle. He is aware of where all the important places in the geometric rectangle and how to place it. Here, the middle, the edge of her nose right here is on the middle, as well as the front of her corset is on the middle. So those are good. Those are two really good anchors. I would say that her, I don't know if this is true, but I mean, I think the nipple line is exactly in the center too. So I think her corset is just below that. And, so you can tell what he's focused on, like a target. And all right, so that's just like getting oriented with the rectangle. And there's almost an entire color field in this top left, and then most of her body, her skin, basically from her whole torso takes place in the upper right hand side, and then we've got the still life on the bottom, and then we've got her, her arm and her dress on the other side. Okay, that was good. I like to get situated there. I do wish I had my tissues, but that's all right. Okay, what makes her is the oval of her head. So there's an oval, and then we do get a little L-shaped at her jawline. So once you find this very basic oval for the head with this like lower jawline, then we can put in the L for her nose. And then we know her eyebrows come out of the L, just like that sausage. And then she's looking down. So her eyes really are almost as if they're closed. And then I suspect he's kind of doing the same thing with the mouth. So there's a very, very simple, kind of smiley face. We're going to have we always let the chin into the jawline, and then the elbow that happens at the corner of the jaw leads up to the ear, and there's going to be this oval back here, so it's tilted back. So we've got eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, and there's literally zero details in it. They're just really values. And anatomically, the neck angles, the back of the neck comes up from trapezius up to behind the ear, and since her head is tilted forward and her chin is overlapping most of her neck is really small. But there is the neck line, almost like where that choker would be in the other side. This is the base of the cylinder of the neck that angles up and to the left. And where that neck attaches to the oval, we don't get to see because the jawline goes in front of it and the ear goes in front of it. It's just a little bit. It's just like it's a little bit annoying. All right, so before we get too excited about the hairstyle, we want to, it really is, it's actually very awkward. And the way it's painted in this piece. So you want to think about it like a helmet, and like an actual skiing helmet. And I'll show you why, because the skiing helmet has a lot of thickness to it, and it rests on your forehead. And the whole point of it is that it's got a lot of thickness so that it can take the blow. So if I just draw this arch here, from where basically the bangs are, this is the front of the helmet, and then we're going to draw the top of the helmet, and it's going to go all the way behind and tuck behind that ear. And it's important because this is the thickness, and it's in shadow, which is going to have its own set of colors. And then the light loosely is coming from the top left. So this helmet orb, which is her hair, you can tell it breaks down into the light side and the shadow side. I mean, it's almost sad how basic it is. Anyway, it's not that sad. So we're going to build we could subdivide these into two towers, but I'm just going to make them into one. This is one cube. You have the top of the cube, you have the side of the cube, and then you have the front of the cube. This angle is really nice. The way that this hair comes off, it's almost like a chimney. It's at the same angle as the neck. So right now we've got the back of the angle of the hair and the back of the neck, that are repeating it one another, and they kind of seem to go in the direction of the way the light's coming down too. Great. So in the final painting, like in the one that Maureen's seen in London, those towers are broken into two. So there's like a puff on the right and a puff on the left. I don't think he even makes any indication. I guess he does make a slight indication of that. You see the notch in the very middle? So he does give us that. But these are the things that are going on in his head. Here's this little notch down here. It goes down and then up and then over. He wanted to include that just because studying this picture, in addition to just studying how he's using the colors, it should also be how you get from a small painting to a large painting. And the fun of needing more information when you scale up. You have the speed of the picture when it's small, but then you have the depth and the layers of interest and the multitude of objects when you scale up. All right, so the most important part when we move into this torso, I was talking about this to some of my other students, but the neck and the shoulders are just such a glorious part of the anatomy. And people talk about thumbs and hands and how amazing they are, but really the way that the arms are attached to the torso with the clavicles in the front and the scapula in the back are really something special. And the main difference when you're sketching them out is that the clavicles in the front are bones. And then the relationship you have to the scapula in the back is through the trapezius, which is muscle. So the shoulder girdle in the front is bone structure, and the triangular bone structure, and then the structure in the back is trapezius. It's muscular. So even like as far as the beauty factor goes, I talk about curved lines and straight lines in art. Well, there's like the human body has this amazing balance between bone structure and musculature. And it's very elegant. So in classic form, rule of thumb, we start from the middle, and you find the pit of the neck, and then her sternum comes down and it widens out. She gives it like her breasts separate, and the breastplate runs right down the middle. Okay. And then we're going to go the clavicles. And I know this seems like it's like a lot because he's so, the painting is so subtle and so obtuse that this anatomy doesn't, it seems like it's a little much, but I think you'll be glad that we're doing it. So from the pit of the neck, you get the sternum that runs down the middle, and then we're going to have the clavicle that leads up here, and then a clavicle that leads up on that side. So the clavicle on the left side, defines the shadow. So there's a blue cast shadow on the other side of the head. So whenever you're drawing the human body and you see the cylinder of the neck coming out at an angle, find the flanking triangles of the clavicle on the right, trapezius clavicle on the front, trapezius in the back, clavicle in the front, trapezius in the back. So the cylinder of the neck is flanked by these like triangular wings. And those wings set you up so nicely to start the arms and the pectorals or the breast, whichever you're talking about, like in the front. Okay, let's let Miss Stacy in the room. Have a nice breaking point. Hey, Stace. Maybe she can't hear us yet. Okay, so this is where my big deviation from perhaps convention comes. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry. I think she's showing a little areola there. I don't know. There's definitely not in the main one, but maybe in the sketch. So you got to remember, this is for him too. This is not necessarily to go on display. So artists make different work when it's private versus public. But this is the big kind of contribution I think I'm making. I think that I'm the insight that I'm offering versus the, obviously it's Seurat, but he turns her breasts into this large prism. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have, the bottom of the breast cup on there, and it's not like there's not around it. There's not that there's not curves, but I think it's going to serve us really nicely to see that there's this whole top plane of the prism, the whole under plane of the prism, and then the side plane of the prism. And that's geometric. And then that prism also leads us to be able to see that where the tying of the base of the corset or the bottom of a rib cage or a waistline, that is almost like a vertical that comes up. Sweet, lovely geometry. And the strings of her clothing echo that too, which is kind of good. So the hardest part that we have to do, which is what I think he's featuring, is the arm, and it's not really even that hard. So the big geometric transition that goes from the relationship of our clavicle to our trapezius is the deltoid. So the deltoid comes down, and that brings us over this shoulder. Now I'm just going to divide this shape right now, and then we can talk about the form. So there's like the L of the inside of her arm and the bottom of the transition from her deltoid into her bicep. So I'm going to say that the bicep is going to be like a cone. A lot of times people would turn this, you could very easily turn this into a cube, where you have the front plane and then the side plane. But I because of her femininity, because of just like her general build, I think we're going to want to do more curves than straight lines. So I'm gonna in my mind I'm gonna draw this as a cylinder, and then we're going to get the elbow. So he gives us this cube, which is really nice. The cube of the elbow is always really important to help go from the upper arm to the forearm. So we're going to do an egg shape for the forearm, and then we're going to do a block for the muscles leading into the wrist, which is the radius and the ulna. Then we're going to do a from wrist to knuckles, which is the back of the hand. And then we're going to do the fingers, which is almost like the mitten that is touching the table. We don't really have a thumb. If there was a thumb, it would be right there. He doesn't include the thumb in the final. And so even though there's this one little note right there, you can see there's like one little flesh tone. I thought that maybe that was the thumb, but I don't think it is. Okay, so for the arm, we've got the this beautiful, it's almost like a section of an egg. It's like a bisected egg, like her shoulder. So we'll call that 1. We'll call the bicep 2. I think we should do the elbow as 3, and then we'll do the forearm. The egg of the forearm is 4. The rest of the block of the radius and the ulna leading into the wrist as 5, the back of the hand as 6, and then the fingertips mitten as 7. And the reason I'm like being so, declarative and numerical about that process is because everybody, in the spirit of symmetry, the artist gets onto the other side and looks for the same stuff. So number 1, we've got the shoulder, which is incredibly, awkward, because the transition on her right arm, the far side arm, he struggled a lot with anatomy. So let's just say that off the bat. But we'll see if I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm curious why, because if you were to look at this arm, it doesn't fit together anatomically, but it might really be beautiful. There might be reasons for why he's doing this. Okay, so there's number 1 with the shoulder. Then we get 2 with the bicep. It's a little bit blockier, kind of a directional change. So we'll say 2. Number 3 with the elbow, you get the real clear elbow bone. You know, it's like it's a blue square. Her forearm is, I think, actually incredibly beautiful. It reminds me of a chicken wing. We're gonna get this egg shape of her forearm, and then here, leading from her forearm into her wrist, it becomes like a cone or even a pyramid. Lovely, that little wedge shape. Then we go get the back of the hand, which is 6. And then her fingers, you know, very delicately lead up into her little puffball. Nice. So 2, I remember 3 is the elbow, 4 is the egg of the forearm, 5 is the forearm bones into the wrist, 6 is the back of the hand, and 7 is the fingertips of the. Well, we'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what's going on. So that's just. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna say that she's sitting on top of a pastry. So let me lose these numbers right here. I think that's the best anatomy. I mean, we've been drawing a lot of cupcakes lately. So I'm just gonna call, you know, there's this arch that you can run through, which takes place with like just a little muffin. But it's not that the muffin doesn't have a design to it, because it does, and it is like frosting. So we're going to take this first S curve here, and you know, this is the, you know, you know, there's the shadow side under here, and there's the top side. Then we'll take it again. This rolls up here. The next layer of frosting, shadow side, top side. And then there's another section that runs like this. Top side, shadow side. And then the edge, there's this last little column, which becomes basically a repeat of the almost like another color study. So there is a frame, like, don't get me wrong, there is a frame, but there's this vertical element right here, which is just spectacular. It's going to be a really fun place to sketch. Great. I think the worst we can do with the tabletop is going to be, let's see. I think we're just, oh my gosh, it looks like that's so funny. So look, I had another funny idea, which I'll show you in a second. But we've got the tabletop, which is just this little cube, and then there's a thickness to the edge of the table, of course. And then we're going to do the side of the table, and then we get these you know, stylized, you know, very curvy legs that attach to it. We know that there's more detail, especially since we have the other one to reference. But at the moment, we got to keep our table simple. The reason I kind of like giggled to myself is because if you look at what the thing that she's using to paint with, you know, to do her makeup with, if you look at it in an interesting way, do you see how it looks like the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
If you just move that over, it looks like there's a miniature Eiffel Tower on there. I know that it's not, but I was just wondering if that was like a thing. You know, if that's what the and the only way we can really get into this is by looking at the one that it was refined. I don't think we're going to get to this point, but it's all right. We want to see the rectangle, and that rectangle crops off, you know, the table and the makeup setup. Have I missed anything? There's this little it looks like it's supposed to be, I'm looking at the other one, there is a little, there's a hair and then a hair tie, you know, that little, but it's pretty ambiguous, both in the finished version, you know, the large one, and in this study. Okay, so here's what it looks like. There's the analysis. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have more than an hour to decorate our cake. So I'm gonna put my put my money where my mouth is, as it were. But let's go. Let's go. Please work. Where's Stacy? Is she not here? Usually she says hi, doesn't she? It says she's in, but I don't think her camera's working. Oh, happy.
She is here.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Yay.
She's in the house. She's just quiet and incognito today.
Incognito. Well, welcome, Stace. Was that a good analysis?
Yes, thank you. I'm also glad to see you recording. I'm eating, and I don't want to be making any noise.
That's fine. I just got a notification that my internet was unstable. I don't know if that's real or
not. That you were unstable or your internet?
The internet. All right, so I'm going to talk my way through it. So I started with my my oval, and then I got the chin into the jawline. Jawline leads back to the ear. I like the idea of like the rainbow. There's the L shape for the nose, smile for the mouth. Kind of an impressive, large space. But all right, so eyes, eyebrows, the rainbow of the front of the shade of our helmet, and then the thickness to that helmet, and then a very kind of bulbous, very bulbous helmet head. I've got the angle of the back of the neck, which I think is super important. And then I'm going to echo that direction with the chimney. Of her bun. Lovely. Okay, so I've got the pit, I've got the cylinder of the neck at that angle. I'm going to have my clavicles come up this side and that side. So I think a lot of these lines that I'm putting in here, I love this light blue. I think we should have a quick glance at how he did some of the transfers on the other figures. And I might just like bring the page back just so we can see how he, when he does start with a drawing, but then how he actually begins to load the composition with, his brush strokes, because we're really going to be painting this drawing. We're not going to be, this is the sketch and the architecture, but all of these lines are going to be dominated by the color pencils that do in fact layer. If you put a sketchy, a thinner sketchy layer first. All right. Now I love this little, I always do the pit of the neck. I always do the sternum as like a rectangle, but because she's so busty, the sternum really kind of makes this triangle shape. But I still have my clavicles on the right, clavicles on the left, trapezius on the right, trapezius on the left. And then that intersection, I'm going to come from the middle. I can then gauge my prism. Seeing the side of the breast as the triangle here, seeing the bottom of the prism where the breast meet with the rib cage, and then the bottom of the rib cage, which is tightly, tightly wrapped, tied in because of the clothing. I've got the egg shape of my deltoid. It seems to run about halfway down the side of the prism, maybe less. And then the intersection of her biceps into the elbow is below the prism. It's creating this kind of negative space of shadow in between the front of her belly and like where her ribs would then, her waist would then turn to the side. I love this little negative space there that's created by the elbow and the side of her belly. I've got my little cube, which I could see, whenever you do the elbow could be, you could very easily turn that little elbow into another, like a miniature egg shape or a little sphere. But you got to kind of commit to the geometry, and then you can smooth it out or make it more subtle later. The widest point of the biceps really are where the deltoid meets the bicep, technically it's the tricep actually, and then it kind of angles down in. I made it, in my analysis, I kind of made them almost parallel lines, but I think it does cut in slightly.
Excuse me,
from
Reverend?
the deltoid into the elbow. Mm-hmm.
Could I ask you to draw just a little bit darker?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
I'll try.
Don't
It shows up. How is it showing up on my screen and then not your screen? Remember we did that.
Oh no, it's showing up on my screen. It's just fine.
No, trust me. I will not.
You know what?
I will not heed the
No.
line weight.
I'm gonna change my lighting. So
does that? Will that affect it?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay.
So I love the elbow, the forearm, being kind of like almost like an oblong ice cream scoop on top of the structured cone. Now it's like, I guess it's not the best thing. Anyway, it's just a curvilinear form being attached to a rectilinear form, and balancing out those straights and curves in compositions is, I'm just always tickled by the by how various artists do it. So we're going to get the back of the hand, trying not to make it too big. His hand is way subtle. He's trying to make the hand small and dainty. So I think he doesn't have to paint it. So we're going to do the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got all my 7 shapes generally in the right place. And we're going to come down the other side. There's this really wild deltoid up here that almost brings you from, it's very big, very swollen. He may have had to move that arm forward a little bit because it would have looked awkward if it wasn't there. But we'll see. And rectangle of that elbow to wrist. We'll do not elbow to wrist, the bicep to the elbow. I'm going to do the cube, and then we'll attach the egg shape of that forearm, and then see how that leads up into the pyramidal prism of the radius and the ulna, combining nicely to get the back of the hand. It really turns. She's coming down, up, and then she's turning the makeup back at herself. So it's, she's about to apply the makeup to her face, and so it's a nice kind of hook there. It brings you that you follow the arm down, it brings you back up into her face. So it's the action of what she's doing, but it's also a really nice design sequence. And her bodice or her dress comes above her elbow. And I think I have to, I may have to move out of my design, I might have to move away from my dry erase version. I think I'm ready though. Look how cropped she is. I mean, she's so close. Like, look at the elbow, or not the elbow, but the deltoid to the edge of the picture. Yeah, we're really zoomed in here. The back of the hand. It's really wild. She does. There's not a lot of extra space in this version. Dress. This point right here seems to be a really important point of flow. So you have this one, wonderful, looks like, that's like the TCBY, or frosting out of a, what are the things called when you put frosting inside those plastic triangles and you squeeze them out? What is that? You don't know?
I don't know.
Like a frosting bag? Is that what you say?
Pastry bag.
Pastry bag? Yeah. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. I've got my corner of the table and its thickness. My little Eiffel Tower. I'll come back to the side of the table and these ridiculous legs. I see I see furniture like this come up at Alex Cooper all the time. And I'm like, oh, should I get one of those? I'm like, no. It would not go with any of my home decor. Well, that didn't take long. I made my girl a little taller. That's okay. This becomes our coloring book. And instead of coloring, with filling in the lines, we're just going to color with dots. Okay, so I'm going to take a little hiatus from here. Oh, good. It fits on when I do it like this. Yeah. Yes. It's going to be, I can't wait to see this develop. I should film this in time lapse.
Yes.
Because it kind of negatively impacts my light. Yeah, so low. So God. I can't even believe what the technology that we have these days. What happened in the last 10 years. How would I get it to stay right there? I have no idea. Okay, so Stacy, check this out. You missed it in the beginning, but there's some of his unfinished work, I should say. It gives you insights into how he would, develop his paintings. So here's the, can you see this one? See how he's drawing?
Yes.
But all in this light blue, all with straight lines. And there's another one that was even more. Oh, where'd that go? It was somewhere in between this one. There it is. Okay. Damn, I have to move my whole thing. It's fine. It's going to be worth it because I just want to show you. We got it. Now we're in this stage. So it's this. We have to see this because this is where we're going. All right. Wow. This is also really, really good. So it looks as though he's got red, yellow, blue. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
He's got red dots. He's got yellow dots. And maybe it's a red, orange, and then he's got blue dots. And that's where we are. And then I think we'll get those areas kind of done. I don't know if you can see this, but he actually has white paint on the neck of this guy. Let's see if we can get up even closer. Do you see that?
Oh, now you're super clear.
Yeah, but can you see that there's white paint even on the neck? It looks like there's nothing there, but there is paint on there. See, it's like
I believe
white. All right, so that's good. And then look at here. So he does allow himself to go like a very dark blue. Do you see the black in there? Where he's allowing those values. The mid-tone dark is going to be the blue. And then he where he's sure of the shadows, he's starting to build those up. So maybe that's where we go. We get a red, we get a blue, we get a yellow, and we get a black, and maybe even a white. If you're working on white, you're not going to need it, but that's great. Okay, thank you, Seurat. Seurat. Ooh.
That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it, guys. Look at how he does that same, look at how he starts with that same process. He's got blue, he's got the yellow, and he's got the red. And then the blue is most everywhere. And then where it starts to get a little bit dark in the hair, he's adding black. He does a little bit of black in the shadow on the table. But the arm is just yellow, red, and blue interacting. The same thing with the bodice. It's blue, black with a little bit of yellow. The hair looks like it's mostly red and black with a little bit of yellow. So we'll let's just like try to like I'm gonna start a little bit. I'm gonna start zoomed out just to get a feel of what colors are going to work. We can actually even attempt a little bit on the border, and then as we get like a little bit more familiar, I'll really zoom in and we can detail the face and maybe even the dress. I mean, the dress is so pretty. It's all really pretty. Okay, so colors. We're gonna need black, we're gonna need blue, we're gonna need a red, orange, and a yellow. Here's my yellow. I'm gonna say, what color is that? Carmine red. That'll be my red, or my red orange. And I need a ultramarine blue. It's a denim blue. A little more. How about actually ultramarine blue? Then I'll keep my cerulean blue because that's like the light blue, the dark blue, and then I need a black. And that's it, right? I think that's it. Warm gray. I think if I remember right, I don't actually have a black. So nice to juice this thing up with a super dark.
So he doesn't have a brown in there?
Maybe in her hair.
Oh, Kelly.
What'd you say, Stace?
Kelly. Paris.
So my parents are. My parents are there right now.
I know. How much fun.
So much fun. What? No, that's green. I might put the Eiffel Tower in that corner. So now I have a whole new lens with which to see these pictures. I mean, the colors are so simple. It's amazing what he was able to achieve with just light blue, dark blue, yellow, red, and the black. I mean, maybe the very neutral blue. A very like, which is essentially black. All right, great. Let's put this back up. I think we should put music on.
Oh, that would be so nice. Remember in the studio, we always had music on.
We did. Did we?
Yeah. Well, that's my recollection.
No, we did in the first studio over by the
Yeah.
By the mulch
Bear
factory.
Hills.
The one by the mulch factory.
The Stinky Factory.
Yeah.
How is that? I don't understand why it didn't. Did it smell inside the studio? I don't think it did.
Yes. Oh, I thought it did.
I just
have a
remember
really-
nice.
You have a really sensitive nose, Stacey.
Yes. And we
There were
didn't take our
critters in that
coats off.
place.
There were
We didn't take our
definitely
coats off
there were
in the
definitely
winter.
critters in there.
Critters.
There's
Yeah.
floods. There were critters. That was like some kind of crazy karmic debt I had to pay. All right, so the color pencils, they're starting off super sharp, but I'm attempting to dull it down so I can get broader. Strokes.
Straight.
More
So-
more like paint strokes and less like pencil marks. Also, you know, there's different ways of. It's so interesting because I'm, you know, with the stippling, you know, you want to do it in like circles, sort of, but like we're not really stippling. So we're kind of drawing with dots, which is different than stippling. Stippling is you have to put a lot of marks down quickly. Here and they don't actually necessarily matter. Here we're actually placing, we're doing the drawing, redoing the drawing, re-solidifying the drawing. And I just switched over to the dark blue. And that's, I think, really what he was doing in the unfinished circus picture. You know, so I'm looking at the shadows, you know, the shapes, you know, cast by her face and her chin onto her neck and then onto her clavicles. Now this is the first time it becomes interesting. So like the side of her face is a dark up against the light. So that I'm going to need that light blue for the background there, but I'm going to need my dark blue for the top of her trapezius transitioning into her deltoid. And then it switches. So then this is so neat. So now we've got this background color, which is the background color is where stippling is going to be the case, because we're not actually drawing anything. We're actually toning something. So I'm using my dark marks to create a dark background for the light of her arm all the way down. Now, with her hair and her face, she is a dark subject on a light ground. So this dark blue now becomes the marks that I'm making to define the object. Whereas in the front, there's this light halo that's all around her her arm and the puffball for the makeup application. Some of the silhouetted edge is created by the red color. Some of it is created by the blue. But in school, we did like a little pointillism section, and we did basically the entire drawing with the blue. And I know that it's going to seem like a little bit tedious, but I think we should try to reaffirm our drawing with the dark blue marks. Look how nice it's looking already.
So Trevor, you're not using any brown in her hair at all?
Not yet. I mean, not yet. I'm just using the blue at the moment. I mean, I am going to color this thing.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a higher concentration of the blue in because it's the blue is a dark value. So wherever there's an object that's darker, there's most likely going to have a higher ratio of the dark pigment. But like I said before, there were some, in fact, black marks, and I can see that this blue that I'm using, even though it's dark, it's not dark enough to push that value of her bangs down lower. And when I'm coming down here, the hair that goes behind the ear, that is a light ear, and it's a warm ear up against a dark, cool background. So I'm using. It's interesting here because I was using the dark blue to define the halo in the background, now, to make the skin up against the light surface. Here, the light surface of the neck is up against the dark of, we'll just call it her hair, the hair or the hair and the ribbon. Of course, I didn't draw that in there. If it doesn't, it's so funny. If it doesn't make the analysis, it doesn't make the drawing. So, which is why it's so important to, invest in that analysis. The neck that protrudes from the torso, that is, it looks like it's almost tan. So she may have like tan lines, because most of the clothes were really conservative, and they would, even though she's in her underwear, she would never leave the house like this. So her dress would go all the way up to the collar. So it's really neat. So I'm seeing the darkness in, separating the neck from her shoulders. And there's a little darkness underneath her lobe. So she has a detached lobe, and probably even some hair from the sideburns that come down. There may be an earring in there too. In the big picture, there's an earring. So where it's not as dark, really spaced out. So this would be a part where I need to be a little bit more clear. So her breasts do have these cups that could be almost like they could be like little pyramids. You could see them as pyramids if you wanted to continue on with the blocky, with the rectilinear forms. but I think that they are, yeah, I think I would err on making them rounder. But you'll be able to see, like, you can tell his directional stroke. You know, you can tell, like, you know, where the angle which he pushes the brush. You know, these lines are now vertical. These lines come up against the arm, and then they go vertical up against the arm and the inside of the rib cage there. You know, it's just, you know, seeing, you know, analyzing that is kind of fun too, because they become like planes. You know, they become the XY coordinates on the geometric forms that we painstakingly clarify.
If I find, shall I get? What else?
Yeah, so the inside is the light again is coming. This is why it's so important. The light is coming from the top left. I'm gonna put this arrow up here. So, you know, how are we gonna get this you know, the arm to be light and then move into the shadow? You know, we got to get even the dark object of the her corset. The dark object of her corset is still a light blue and a dark blue. So even though the objects, like the hair, even though the objects are dark, they do have a light side and a shadow side. I remember someone called me out at that at school, like as if I didn't know it. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, like I didn't do it in this drawing, but like, you think I didn't know that? It was very insulting. Sorry, I'm just working through some issues.
Working through it.
Yeah, like the, you know, her breastplate has some very, very, you know, light and infrequent dark blue marks. So, you know, when Seurat is a colorist, yes, he's principally first, you know, of value. He's focused first on values. His colors don't work unless the values are set up. There's a part that I left out. If you look up here on this shoulder, there is like the lace. So she has like this white lace that comes in front of the corset, and then there's a light strap that comes up, and then it wraps around, and you can see that white strap up against her arm. So if I were to just come in and add some of this orange for the flesh tone, there's the orange, which unfortunately is turning green because I have that light blue there. But then there's the white of the fabric in between, you know, in between the background and her skin tone. So I have this orange color, and I'm hunting for it. And this is not orange, this is the yellow. And it's a lighter value, but I'm just checking out his picture to see where it does show up. And that doesn't actually show up very well on the Zoom. Yeah, the overwhelming majority of the interaction of this picture, at least, is the play off of the light blue and the dark blue. At least in this section of the picture, I think it's going to be you know, warmer tones in the skin and in the dress, but at the moment.
Trevor.
Yes, Stacy.
Never mind. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have a horrible eraser. So some of my construction lines. Is this eraser gonna work better? I really don't want my construction lines. They're gonna be hard to fight against. Cool. The back of the arm is in shadow here. I wonder if I need to show a little bit of this red. She's got some of these red notes in her lips, some red notes in her eyes, of course, and then around her eyes and in her hair, the bright red. And I don't want to overlap yet. It might come to that, but I'm trying to cover the paper. Now, there's plenty of picture that shows underneath this. The color. There's are light areas that are in between, but it's a small percentage in the end. So this is where we get to have the meditation and kind of get lost in these, finding the little holes, the covering a part of the paper, one dot at a time is, if seen, with the wrong frame of mind would be, tedious or punishment. But like the beauty component is the discipline and the fun, because it is gorgeous. I mean, I'm using stupid color pencils, and I'm just looking up at the screen at my drawing, and it's like it is a thing of beauty.
Trevor,
even in this like unfinished state. Yes, Stace.
did Seurat study? Did he follow or precede Lautrec? He preceded, right?
No, they were like exact contemporaries.
Did they study together at all?
I can't remember if Seurat was in Cormon's studio. I don't think it was Bernard and Lautrec and Anqueton and Van Gogh. They were all in the same studio. I don't think Seurat was in there. But they were, they were kind of the same age, and Lautrec and Van Gogh took after Seurat. I mean, Seurat brought this, to its peak, because like you can only do this for so long, because it's like it's slightly gimmicky. But what he was, it's interesting. I'm glad you're bringing that up in terms of like the context and the influence. There's a 200 years earlier, a guy named Shreville, a textile artisan, worked for like the king, wrote a book on tapestry making, and his color concepts were, kind of rediscovered in the 19th century with these guys. And what basically, this is not even Seurat's ideas. He would take, and you can like reshape how you're making your marks now, because the idea is that if you get yellow fabric and green fabric and you weave them together, it creates a pixelated, object, and you stand back and your eye blurs them and you get green. So you get yellow thread, blue thread, weave them, and stand back, you get a green, and you get even a more beautiful green than just dyeing the fabric, a tone. It's like it's color with like vibrationally. So you're forcing your brain to simplify the subject and unify it, and that evokes this sense of infinity, which feels like you're looking at nature, and it evokes a beauty response. Seurat is doing the same Seurat is attempting to do it with paint. So he's weaving together paint colors to have that kind of shimmering, that shimmering effect. And it's very much in line with impressionism. Impressionism came before, and then post-impressionism. And you look at early Lautrecs and early Van Goghs, and they Van Gogh was more of a pointillist. Van Gogh was a pointillist. He was just like next generation in a sense. And, Lautrec's portrait of Van Gogh was done in a pointillist style, to basically reflect, what the style with which Van Gogh painted. And then he evolved into becoming what Van Gogh was supposed to be becoming, but he evolved to be Van Gogh, but, his roots, in terms of his earlier aesthetic, is rooted in pointillism. So that's kind of nice. It does fit together with the paintings we've been doing the last couple weeks and months. So yeah, there's a white fabric in between the skin of her torso and the corset. So the corset is exciting because it's very dark, and it's the light blue, and it's mostly those two colors, the light blue, dark blue, and a little bit of black, and then a little bit of yellow. But overall it's a very unified dark object. And then her skin is a little bit more subtle because it's so creamy and off-white, but the fabric itself is there's the only white it's really the objects that have white are the puff, the cotton ball, the linen line, or the fabric lining of the corset, and then the strap behind her deltoid. Also tediousness. Seurat was like a big, socialist, and he saw himself as like like kind of a working man, or not a man of the people, but like a laborer. So he would charge, like his paintings were kind of by design intended to take many hours, because then he would log his hours, and then whatever like the working man's wage, he would charge that same hourly rate for his paintings. So if you put in 60 hours, you'd be like 60 times 15, and that's how much the painting would cost, plus the materials or whatever. Which is kind of interesting because it's like slightly political. Like his politics led to his process, and then that process led to his to the look and the contribution to art history.
I usually take it off when I shower, but I'm not finding it in the bathroom. My locks.
There is a slight dark halo on the outside of the fabric. I feel like he was like, it doesn't show up as much as it should. So it looks like I need a lighter yellow, some like cream color for the flesh tone. Well, it's just not going to work. And then wherever if you introduce another color, it's got to show up in trace amounts everywhere else. That's one of the things. Okay, so I just pulled in what this is called a warm gray. This is the closest thing that I have to black. And I'm going, because I just want to understand what my full value range is. The white of the paper is the light. So I'm fighting against that, but so is he. I mean, that's the process. I mean, we're fighting against the exposed canvas, dot by dot. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to be aware of what the darkest part of my picture is. And at the moment, it's, her bangs, her bun, and, the back of her neck here. So cool. I can't do anything about my construction lines. So our this halo that's around the puffball here. So I'm drawing what I would call positively, in the sense that I'm, coloring in objects that I've drawn. The objects that I need to color, are defined. The darker objects, it's natural to be up against a dark object up against a light ground, but her arm is a light object up against a dark ground. So in order for me to express her arm, it needs to be shaded. And that's what's happening. So it's just kind of flipping it. So where I'm drawing the dark object of the corset, now I'm drawing the dark background of the light arm, and the dark background of the light cotton ball. The other thing that I want to show you, like, do you see how my pencil's getting duller? So I'm able to draw bigger marks. That's partially what I was, when we looked at in the very beginning, Stacy, we looked at some figurative stuff that Seurat was up to. Here's one. Look how big these strokes are for Seurat. This is a landscape. This isn't a figure, but
Oh, wow.
see how big they are?
Yeah.
So he had, with larger paintings, they'd be like really teeny dots that he's able to get a lot of detail with. Then the one that we're working on is kind of mid-level size dots. Here, I mean, he does a whole tower with like 6 strokes because they're so large.
Yeah. What size is that piece?
That's what's so cool. This is 6 by 10, but the painting we're working on is also 6 by 10. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So he basically used different size brushes to get different amounts of detail naturally.
Naturally.
Nifty. So my goal, it's 11:42. So I went from our main subject, and I went through her shoulder into her arm, and then I was able to like really nail down where the edge of the picture is. So the frame on the right side. And it's mostly these darker values, the blues and the red. So now I'm going through the cotton ball, and I'm experiencing the frame on the other side. And in classic, I just tend to draw. These are very small prints. So the fact that I'm drawing a little bit larger is kind of to be expected. But with what I'm doing at exactly right now, since we're going till noon, I would like to get, I'm working towards getting the rectangle so I can at least frame out my picture. And I did want to get into some of the colors, but I mean, the light blue dots, and there might even be lighter blue moments, you know, colors that he's mixing. But just generally speaking, the dark blue, the stuff that I use to kind of formulate the drawing, is enough to realize the whole picture. Everything else after that is just color meditations. So I wanted to just show that you could, that frame is important. God, there's a lot. Look at that arrow. I can't believe I did that arrow. I'll have to vignette this corner. But the pointillism creates such beautiful atmosphere, you know, abstract atmosphere. And as soon as I was describing, you know, shading the background to get the top of the arm, you know, we have to draw the, you know, the shadow part of the arm. So we're back to drawing the subject positively, negatively. And when you take pleasure in it, it's not discipline. You know, you have to kind of train, in a way, you almost have to train your, because we're used to just, you know, coloring in a different way. But if you get used to, you can very, very easily retrain your mind to make these, you know, these marks. And you can, you know, you can also trust your own, you can trust your own drawing. Because with the drawing that we made in the beginning, you know, this is a coloring project. Slightly off screen. The way these dots are flowing in the dress is just spectacular. So I'm making the marks, you know, flow directionally, and they represent the shadows in these folds. And you know, this style of drawing and painting is really forgiving, because it's sort of like there's so many decisions that even in like these little areas, you know, even if like 7 of them are wrong, you know, out of 200 marks, I mean, that's like a 97%. You can get 7 marks wrong, but if you get, you know, the 193 of them correct, you know, it's not even a mistake. It doesn't even count as a mistake. So you can build these up with a certain amount of liberty and confidence. And he goes so dark with the frame down here. I love it. The frames themselves kind of pulse with value, pulse with color. you know, the dress and the tabletop are really warm objects, you know, orange and red and yellow, you know, so he frames those areas with the blue. And then the background is blue with, you know, mostly blue with a few warm notes. And then, you know, that's the frame. That's how he frames the top areas, more warm tones. So the frame itself is, you know, transitioning to help serve specific parts of the painting. You know, where when you buy a frame from the store, you know, you almost have to choose. You're like, well, the frame works really nicely with this part, and you get another frame. You're like, well, that frame works better with this part. So Seurat wouldn't compromise. He's like, well, I'm going to frame the background with colors that, you know, make it pop, and then I'm going to frame the bottom with colors that make it pop. There looks like there's some greens in here on this side with our yellow makeup stand / Eiffel Tower. So in these, you know, these last minutes, I'll feel so much more confident knowing that my picture is, you know, framed off. I'm gonna mute myself. The yellows don't show up that well on the Zoom, but that's okay. The blue, my dark blue and the dark red, really, their values are very similar. I probably should have set up that earlier. Sorry. You know, putting our getting our photo, duplicating it, and then putting it into a black and white filter. Oops, sorry. Black and white filter. So look at that. That's and it's so interesting because it makes it all feel blue. You know, there's the light blue and the dark blue, but the so yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it's telling us, but I guess the values of that's what it is. Look at the dress and the background, how those values of the dress and the background are so similar. You know, in fact, you don't even notice the dress in this because you know, the tonal transitions are so similar to the background. Her arms and torso are so light, and then the corset, her hair, and the table are so dark, and everything else is a midtone. And then you look at the actual picture, and it's the colors that really are make the background and the dress so contrasting. Good to know. So the top of her arm is you know, nicely silhouetted here, And then the top of her hand is also nicely silhouetted. Not to be confused with being up against the corset. Hopefully these blues are showing up. I mean, these warms are showing up. You know, by doing the drawing with the blue, with the dark blue, it almost feels like cheating because it's so useful. How's everybody doing? Is it fun?
Yeah. Fun and getting crampy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I didn't notice it until you said it, but my hands are tired.
Yeah, I'm not as far as you are, Trevor.
Well, I'm up against the clock.
Oh, it's almost noon. Good grief.
I know.
How'd that happen?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I have to step away. Can I take a couple of pics really quick?
Yeah.
Quick pics.
Yeah.
Quick.
Let's do a little. I can't. It's so hard to stop. I can't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. You want to show yours first, Stace?
No.
Ah,
But
no.
Sure.
No, you got.
Yeah, I really didn't get far at all. I was dealing with some school stuff while everything was going on, so I didn't get far at all. I got a couple of dots down.
Nice.
And that was really it.
She's cute. Seurat. I like it, Stace. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Grace, how about you? Place pen.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. Can you see, like, I see like Starry Night in the, the background, around.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The
Hold that nicely still, Grace.
Oh, don't take a picture. Nowhere near.
Yeah, it's beautiful though.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What color is that? Like a tan color paper?
Yeah, creamy off-white.
Yeah.
Yellowish creamy.
Yeah, the white shows up nicely on that.
Maureen, I got you next if you want to hold it up if the fire alarm's not going off.
Well, I did the whole thing in graphite, and then Stacy said stop it, and use the colored pencils. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Maureen, that looks, I mean, and that looks more like the one that you know well
Hello.
than this, the one that's in the museum.
well, I kind of started with that one and then switched because I have a hard time with this one. Her face looks like it's swarmed in bees.
Yeah, I know.
It does.
Sort of. It does, sort of.
It doesn't resonate with me. So I went back and forth with the two.
And if you're not careful, it can look like chicken pox too.
I know.
Oh my God.
Oh, you're so right.
All right, Adele, let's see it. Let's see the swarm.
I have opera practice in the background.
Oh, fun.
Oh, pretty.
Nice.
Yeah, she's really pretty.
Yeah.
She looks
I
like
mean,
Everyone
that's
made her so much prettier.
so much prettier. And that almost works just the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's like,
Just leave it.
like his now looks totally overdone.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, she looks like a princess.
Really good.
Yeah. Less is more. So pretty.
I like yours better than his.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Sure.
what I don't know is how to get the skin tone in her face. It's just like lots of different colors.
Right. So many different colors.
Yeah, I think I would make the lips a little bit red, and then see if you can pull out her something that resembles eyelashes.
Oh, wow.
Just if you just do that, the eyelashes will indicate the eyes, and then the lips will will pull out the red lips are say mouth. You don't need as many details. I'm looking at, and the reason I bring that up is because I'm looking at the finished piece, the one that Maureen was working with, and it really makes it look good. So, yeah, see if you can find the other one too, and then compare them. But yeah, it's so. Oh wait, yeah, I'm looking at I'd love to hear hypotheses on the background in the other one too, but I think it's a. Maybe it's a mirror. I guess it's a mirror.
You know what? I think it's a mirror.
I think it's a mirror too.
I'm guessing. But all you have to do is Google the Cordall Gallery, and there's a woman that literally talks about it, and she'll say,
okay.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Oh, wow.
On YouTube?
I couldn't listen to the whole thing because class started, but I recommend you go in there. Is
it on YouTube, or is it at the gallery?
I just Googled Cordall Gallery and clicked on that, and then it dissects specific pieces.
Cool.
And
okay.
You can
guys, I gotta go take care of the doggies.
Okay. I'll see you guys next fall, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
all right, well, I'll let you know about what's happening with the if we do any. You could do any. If we keep going in the summer, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, I don't know if I'll have time, but I'd love to participate. Otherwise, I'm back end of summer for sure.
All right, cool. All right, y'all. Have a great week. Send pics when you finish.
All right, Rainy, we'll talk soon.
Send me pictures when you're done.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.